Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Path. My name is Dara, and joining me today is Brian, and we're going to be talking about Angron Transfigured. Brian, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. New Angron just dropped, everybody. I mean,
New Angron just dropped.
it's a little bit late since his release, but I mean, it's taking a little bit of time to soak it all up because it's not every day you just like roll over from bed and there's like, oh, sweet, another Angron just
Yep,
dropped. So third Angron that we've received ever. Actually, no, fourth if you count the little impy looking one,
you have to count him. He's the OG.
and he's the best looking one by far.
Obviously,
Um,
obviously.
but yeah, the model looks sick. Obviously, it's still only for the horse heresy. And I know a lot of people out there probably going to be proxying it for 40K.
Yep.
Which go for it, man. Like it's sick as hell in terms of its art style. Like it's completely different art style. Has a lot going on. I think it's cool. Well, any like initial thoughts, Dara?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can say that you don't like it. You can
I
be
mean,
the truthful one here, right?
on a personal level, I am not a huge fan of some of the choices they made. But I
We
actually
can get into that. Yeah.
I know that it's not an avenue that they've explored that much in their art styles. For reference, like a lot of people are complaining that maybe he's a little too lanky or he's not as monstrous as like his 40K equivalent. Well, that's actually like he is that lanky. He is supposed to be that lanky. If you look at any of the Horus Heresy artworks, he looks almost scrawny when he
Yeah.
like I mean he Ingron's not a tall dude before he transforms into a demon Primarch. He's not that
Smallest
big.
Primarch, I believe, apart from Omegon. I
Yeah,
think he's the
he's
smallest.
definitely one of the smaller ones.
He has
And
like short Primarch energy,
And
you
it's
know?
most of it's probably all in his back because he's just hunched over and angry the whole time. Maybe if he like stood up straight, he might be like the third smallest one.
I feel like
But
he's still like he's like the Primarch who's like 5'11, you
but
know?
in terms of like weight, he is definitely not the lightest Primarch. He still has a lot of like weight to him,
Mm.
and they kind of didn't. Khorne didn't give him any extra weight. Khorne just like took him and stretched him out, and I feel like that is represented by this model. So like
Oh, that's funny. I
for
like
me,
that.
like his legs are like pretty skinny. Like I don't know how where he got this armor quick enough in time for. Like Khorne just had to like manifest it for him because like
Yeah.
there's no like armor that just fits a dude with legs like this. Like it looks like he skipped leg day a little bit. But like I said, it's a completely different art style, and my opinion is it has a lot going on. And honestly, for me as a painter, it's going to be a nightmare. There's so many details on this model to get lost in. All
Mm.
of which are sick. Like the nails coming out of the back of his head look like
Yeah.
actual hair, versus on the Angron model for 40K, it looks more like accessories, like the normal like pipes and stuff
It
going
just looks
through.
kind of dumb. Yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
looks dumb. It
Hey.
doesn't look dumb. I like him.
Okay.
But
All
he
right.
looks way more humanoid in this one. Now, I've said a lot, Dara, so how about you take some of the smoke off me?
Okay. I'm gonna be straight up about this. This is the Primarch model that I wish we got for 40K. I think this is like very, very close. I'm just looking at the miniature here. This is very, very close to my personal sort of vision of what Angron should look like. It's like almost there. I would say that the only way you could get it like perfect for me is that old art style, that really early depiction of Angron from one of the Apocalypse books in 40K, where he's got the dead Ultramarine in his hand. That's Angron to me because that was the first picture I ever saw of Angron before I knew what Angron was. I just saw this art. There was like the picture that drew me into 40K. Really, I saw that artwork and I was like, I need to know more about this guy. Um, I think the 30K transfigured model here goes a long way in sort of like getting to that image for a lot of different reasons. And I think it's like far, far superior to the 40K model because, like, I think I was talking to one of my friends about this who he doesn't play 40K, but like, is aware of sort of the game and the sphere, and often he's very artistic as well, so we kind of talk a lot about painting and stuff. And I was showing him this miniature, and he was like, "Wow, that's really cool. It's really nice that Angron doesn't look like just a generic red dragon." And I'm like, "Yeah, the 40K one, he kind of is like there's like you could put that model in front of anyone, and they're just going to be like, oh yeah, generic red demon. There's nothing about the 40K model really that is super unique in terms of its aesthetic. He looks like a big bloodthirster, right? I'm not like shitting on the 40K model. I like it, but
No,
this. is way more like, okay, this is a Primarch that has been corrupted and fallen to demonhood. Like you can tell this was once like a dude, and I get that it's like an evolutionary process, right? It's like, yeah, this is like a couple of years after he transformed, and then 40k is like 10k years after, so obviously he's going to get a bit more demonic. But the reason that I'm really drawn to this one rather than the other one is it's a lot more like kind of realistic and gritty compared to the
Yeah.
40k one. It's the 40k one's very I don't want to use the word cartoony because that's like kind of it sort of demeans him, but like that model is quite cartoony. Like you've got the big wing biceps, you've got
Yeah. Yeah.
the massively over exaggerated arms. The face is kind of a very sort of generic demon angry face, whereas this is like I think they've really managed to put Angron's suffering into a model. You can see it in his face on this model. Like that man is in a lot of pain, and it's you know what? It's like such a weird detail on the transfigured model is the detail on the musculature of his neck is like
It's
insane.
it.
You know, it's
That's why I
actually
said like
insane.
painting this thing is going to be a nightmare because there is like
Mm.
detail around every little inch and corner of this
Hmm.
guy. And like I also another piece of artwork that like this really reminded me of I don't know if it's fan made or GW made the the Angron versus Perturabo.
No, that's official. Yeah,
Yeah, that is immediately what I thought of when I saw
yeah.
this. And it really makes me interested for how they're going to do. I mean, probably they're going to do Magnus and
Mm.
Mortarion as well because they seem to have taken the approach of the transfigured Primarchs are definitely way close. Like they are demonic, but they're way closer to their mortal form than they are their like demonic
Demon
form
form.
at
Yeah,
this
yeah.
point in time. Like
Mm.
the new Fulgrim people are saying that the new Fulgrim looks nothing like the old Fulgrim, and I was like, well, new Fulgrim took a tactical nuke to the face between the two different art styles, got sent to the warp, got angry, and came back, right? And became spent 10,000 years in the warp. Same thing with Angron, and I kind of like that detail of the 40k version is that he becomes more bestial. He absorbs the energy from the warp. He's sitting there
Yeah.
and there doing his reps, working out, doing arm day. And he has nothing to do for 10,000 years. So he's going to come out more swole and bigger and at this point completely lost. Like this model basically looks like to me the man from the books, just like Dar said, screaming in pain. And then you have the 40k version, which is just like almost completely given itself over to a force of nature. Like it's no
Hmm.
longer even Angron anymore. It's just like you said, an angry red dragon.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Which is
what the
like
modern,
fine,
which is,
you know? Like
and that's
it makes sense. It suits like the modern version of Angron is like big angry red dragon and there's not much depth to him, but there's depth to this character. There's like pain and suffering really displayed here. It's like you can see he was once a well, not a man, but like he was a Primarch, you know, who has clearly fallen. And actually, you know, there's like one thing that I've seen an awful lot of people saying. Um, Talking about the proportions on this miniature and that like his legs are like way too long and stuff. I feel like that's like this sort of weird collective illusion that we have where we're really used to GW miniatures which ordinarily aren't proportioned very well. Like not realistic proportions at all. Like the Angron 40k model, his proportions are actually terrible, like really, really bad. The models or the proportions on Transfigured Angron are perfect. Like people's legs are long. Your leg is going to be pretty long. It's like if your
no, but
leg is the same length
it's
as
not
your
wide.
torso, it's a problem,
The
you
length of
know.
his legs fine. They're just not wide enough. Like he looks like he did chest day, but no leg day. That's all.
I don't know if I necessarily agree.
No,
So, okay, this is another thing, right? This is another thing. You're looking at this miniature and you're not realizing a lot of his chest is the cape in the back. Like the actual, he's got a bit of a skinny old
no.
waist, Angron.
That's going to be the downside of this being a inevitably a $300 resin model is you're not going to have the option to leave him bare chested like you can the current 40k one.
That's a
So
problem,
that's a problem. Can't show
really.
off, can't show, but then you can't prove that it's not. Maybe it isn't the cape.
Yeah.
But
I think there's just a lot of great design cues on the model as well. Like the uh probably one of my favorite parts is the midriff World Eater symbol, which is like
yes,
the
that
kind
looks
of the
sick.
OG World Eater's
Hmm.
coronate symbol. That is just beautiful. But by no means is this going to be an easy model to paint as well. For anyone who's kind of eyeing it up, I'm looking at this as a very very experienced painter, and I'm like, man, that's going to be hard. That's going to be very very hard.
I would go as far to say as I think this may be one of the hardest models to paint, period, that GW has put out. I think this is harder
Yeah,
than
it's definitely
40K.
up there.
This is harder than 40K Mortarion to paint.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for
in my
sure,
opinion,
for
and
sure.
as an amateur painter, yeah, this model's sick. Careful with the wings. Those things look like they are going to be a nightmare to
But they're
transport.
awesome.
Please
Yo,
don't.
those wings are so much better than 40K. I'm like,
Yes.
yo,
And
boy, spread your wings.
and
Like,
I
let's go,
think just like the 40K Fulgur model, which honestly I have a higher opinion of the 40K Fulgur model over the 30K Fulgur model. So maybe I'm like going against the grain in both directions here. I think this is also another model that does not benefit from a 2D picture nearly as much as like in person being able
Oh
to
yeah,
rotate
for
it. And
sure.
like even the
For
40K
sure.
Angron's really bad to take pictures of, but in person it looks way better. And I think this is a model that's going to really like it's going to pop out on the table. And I really hope he doesn't even have like an attack stat line in 30K. I hope he's just like, I charged you, you die. Like that's just it.
Yeah.
It's like what
Right.
the elephants from Middle Earth, they have that rule. Like in their movement phase, if they
They
move over
just
you,
kill
you just
anything.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
fair.
so I hope that's just his rule is that
Yeah.
and yeah. Um
Great model in my opinion. I know it's like a super divisive one, and I get it. It's when when you're coming at it, like everyone's going to enjoy different things, right? So it's totally fair if you don't get it. But I just know for my painting style, for my vision of what I want Angron to be, oh, this is the one for me. I am going to buy this and paint it, and probably never use my 40K Angron again on the table.
and while we're talking about this Warcom article, we might as well just give her a little plug. We also got a nice Lotara model as well, which
Dude,
is
let's go.
sick
Let's
because
go.
I'm still out there because my personal complaint with 40K World Leaders is that we have no CP manipulation. And I'm going to go on my little soapbox right now that we can't discount strats, we can't backdoor, we can't do any of that. I want my Blood Witch Lotara back. I want her in 40K. I love her so much. She's my favorite character from any of the World Leaders books. The amount of times she just pulls a gun and shoots a World Leader in the face and says, "What are you going to do about it?" It's awesome. I love her so much. Um, Her model
It's
looks really good.
like
And I'm
her
happy to
model
see her
looks
have a model.
incredible.
Honestly,
Yeah, I think actually her getting a model is like insane. Like, because when you think about it, right, it's like there's a lot of great support characters in the Heresy series, but like Latara stands out for like a lot of fans as being this like really special one. But that doesn't necessarily like entitle her to a model, you
of
know?
of all of the Legion books that I've read, she has the most like personality and relevance of any ship captain. Like I think she's the ship captain for me.
there's one in the White Scars books. I can't remember her name, but she's also extremely cool. And I'm like, I would love to see her get a model as well. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But I just think it's awesome that evidently they were like, yeah, look, the community really loves this character. Let's give her a model. It's
I mean,
sick as hell.
there's nothing special about her necessarily as a model. It's just sick to see her represented. So it's like
Hmm.
that they should do more stuff like that. I want more stuff
Yeah,
like that.
100%.
There's a
100%. Love it. Love
ton of
it.
Night Lord mortals that I'd love to see get models too. So
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I'd be up for it. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to painting her as well. I painted a bust of Lotara like quite a while ago at this point, and it's like it's similar enough to the bust that I'm like, oh wow, they really kind of like kept that design philosophy going, you know?
and like I rolled over when I woke up that morning. I was like, oh sweet, new Angron dropped. Then I kept scrolling, and I was like, oh even better, new Mo dropped.
Nemo, yeah, right.
Lotara is the new Mo, guys. And if you read any of the books with her in there, she is just as strong as Mo. So,
Yeah,
um,
she's pretty badass. Yeah, no, it's great. Great to see a really, I suppose, like influential character from the Heresy. Like get an actual model, which I really wasn't expecting. And honestly, just super, super hyped to see such a good Angron sculpt. I had heard that there was an Angron transfigured in the pipe. Like I heard about that maybe 6 months ago.
yeah, Valrak randomly dropped that like a few months ago.
Yeah, there was a few people talking about it, and I was kind of like, okay, that could look great, and it could be like great proxy, and I'm really glad with how they pulled it off. I think they did an amazing job. Sculpting team absolutely kicking it out of the water. But obviously, fairly divisive miniature. Let us know down below what you think about that one. I think we're not going to talk too much more about it. Just give our kind of thoughts and feedback on it. Really excited to see people get this into their hands and start painting it as well. because that's going to be a really fun one. And if you want to see us do a video on painting it, because I'm definitely going to be getting one, let us know in the comments, and I'll make some sort of showcase video of me suffering through all that resin.
And who knows, maybe I make Dara do a second one. Because
I
I'm not,
won't, no.
I am confident in my abilities to not be able to paint this thing to
And
give
I
it
am
the
confident in
justice.
my abilities to refuse that offer.
Oh, feels bad. All right, everybody. Thanks for
Yep.
sticking around. Stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn.